ask that's a very good point because like, that kind of goes into what happened in 2017 when we had the UASF. And we could go into that maybe a little bit later, but I do want to ask Jim something specific because Jim was involved with a blow up with two so-called billionaires, although who really knows if they really are billionaires. One of them, you were kind of tangentially involved in what happened with Trace Mayer about 17 months ago, and then more recently, a couple months ago or a month ago, you were kind of involved with what Chamath happened. Can you take us through both those stories and just kind of give us the highlights on what really happened? Did you want to explain? Because some people in the audience may not even know what happened with both Trace Mayer and with Chamath and your involvement in both of those situations.
Okay, so last year at Tone's conference on Confiscatable, I had met a podcaster named Adam Meister, and we spoke for a little while. And then I had met the Twitter character American Hodl, who was also there, and we spoke for a while. And then Adam Meister was setting up for his live stream in the corner of the room at the end of the day, and I saw it, so I decided to walk on over. And he was interviewing American Hodl and Trace Mayer. And I created a business card with just Bitcoin resources on it, just to give to people, so when they went home, they could look up good stuff.
And you still have that business card, right? You are handing it out.
I do. I'm handing it. If anybody wants one, I have one. So the point is, I gave Hodl and Adam Meister one of them, and Adam Meister saw me walking up. I was just going to sit there and watch. And he said, "Hey, Surfer Jim, come say hi to my audience." So I get on camera, and I was very, sort of thrilled to meet Trace Mayer. He's a famous guy, and I had on my little business card his name, his website. So on camera, I said, "Here, this is all signal, no noise, and you're on it." And so here we were praising Trace, and the podcast went well. And then we all walked to the after party when he started handing out little business cards shilling Mimble Wimble. And
they weren't even business cards. These look like really shitty slips of paper that he printed the same day at like Kinko's or something.
It was really, it looked like somebody hand wrote. It was kind of a joke. Yeah, like
fortune cookie tones.
That's what it looked like. The point is, he was serious. People thought he was joking. He was actually trying to convince people that you should look into this Mimble Wimble coin. And it just blew up. And like people started calling him out. The Cyber Hornets attacked. This guy was like pivotal in educating lots of people about Bitcoin. And he was just thrown to the wolves. Like, dude, you are not getting away with this, right? You are screwing people. If you think you should tell people to invest in this. And I felt personally he was using his reputation, and he was probably heavily invested. He was gonna help create a pump and dump just for himself personally. And I that's just disgusting. So I happened to literally I was literally right there when his reputation imploded. And the very next day he disappeared from Twitter, and we haven't seen him since. So he took the message pretty seriously. Like, he's not going to win this battle. We've had plenty of others that we know of who dig their heels in and think they're going to fight back against us, and they don't win.
But let's go to Chamath before we mention anybody else.
I wasn't going to. Okay, gotcha. All right. So I was disappointed when I saw they added Mike Novogratz to the speaking lineup for Bitcoin 2021. And I already knew Chamath was there, and I think he's a shitcoiner and a scammer. So I simply tagged both of them in a tweet mentioning that, what is this going to be, Bitcoin 2021? And Chamath lashed out at me, not knowing who I am, saying that him and Novogratz are OGs, and I'm living in my mommy's basement or something. Like,
Jim is living in his mommy's basement.
Like, he doesn't even know like how old I am. He doesn't know anything about me. And like, I was just like, yeah, dude, I was out of mom's basement like decades before you were born. And then I called him a dipshit coiner. And then he responded, "Oh, old and broke." But basically, it was 4 tweets. That was it. I didn't think anything of it. But the Cyber Hornets attacked. They literally got behind Surfer Jim and tore him a new asshole. Literally, Hornets attacked. They literally got behind Surfer Jim and tore him a new asshole. Literally. And he, this is like pretty telling, right? You got a billionaire guy. He can do pretty much what he wants with his life. He chooses what podcast to go on, what speaking engagements to take. And he was scheduled to speak at Bitcoin 2021 live. Everybody knew that, only to talk about Bitcoin. Well, on Twitter, everybody wanted him to be fired and for me to take his place as keynote speaker, which I had no interest in. But the rhetoric was out there. People were just like, we get rid of him, get rid of him. I went on some podcasts to basically explain my position here, whatever. I spoke with David Bailey, the guy in charge of the conference. I understand his position. He was very adamant about it. If you're going to speak, you have to be in person. Chamath had this thing scheduled for months. But all of a sudden, a week or so before the conference, he just couldn't get to Miami. He wanted to do it, virtual. So he wouldn't get booed off the stage probably, but he basically quit. I think the pressure of the Cyber Hornets caused him to quit. It was not me. I was the guy at the top of the hill, made a snowball and started rolling it down, and everybody else piled on. And it was an avalanche by the time Chamath was supposed to speak. So this was like the topic. Patrick brought this up, plebs versus billionaires. It's kind of part of the root of why we decided we should talk about this, because the community doesn't give a crap how much money you have, how much influence you have, or whatever. If you're going to mess around, we're going to call you out on it. And that's basically, the gist of it. You guys have been listening to us talk about it. But yeah, it blew up, and my profile blew up because of it. But I got a lot of support. There's a lot of people out there that see it the same way. You guys are sitting here because you probably all see it the same way. So yeah, that's pretty much in a nutshell how it's gone down for the last few months.
And say what you want, sir, for Jim about Mike Novogratz, but Mike Novogratz was smart enough not to fuck with you. Okay, so he was
I
smart enough.
guess.
Yeah, so he was like, "Yeah, I'm not going to mess with this dude, Super Jim." Chamath was not that smart. So by all means, say which one of my Novogratz. At least Novogratz is smarter than Chamath.
Yeah.
So we can give him credit for that. Yeah, well, why don't we talk a little bit about maybe Tone? You can give your take on this as well because you were a big part of this as well. I wouldn't call Tone a pleb. Tone is more of an OG, but he was certainly involved in the 2017 war. Well, actually, let's go to you first, Ben. So were you around in 2017 about where they were trying to raise the block size and then they were trying to, do a New York agreement with a bunch of big corporations, Coinbase, 83% of the hashing power were signing this New York agreement to try to change Bitcoin or try to fix Bitcoin. Were you around back then? And what were your thoughts about what was going on back then? And do you think that kind of shows that Bitcoin is not run by any large corporation or large company, and it's actually run by the users? So let's let you your thoughts on that, and then we'll go to Jim, and then we'll let Tone speak on that as well.
Sure. I was